there's power management software that you can take a whole school's network of computers and one person, principal, whoever, can set all them to shut down at the same time and come on at the same time. And what ends up happening is when you have a lot of computers, it makes a big difference because you know everybody's shutting down at the right time. You didn't forget or something of that nature. I've checked a couple computers through here. I haven't found any that have been in sleep mode yet. They all are just, the screens are off, but the computers are fully running. Likewise, for when you have anything with a plug load where you have a coffee maker or toaster or something like that, you don't see them as much here in schools. They have the vampire strips, which are the plug-in strips, but they actually have an occupancy sensor built into the strip. So if you're at your desk and you have your printers plugged in or whatever, and when you're away from your desk, it senses that you're not there and will shut it down and put it into sleep mode. You know, some of the things that I mentioned today, you know, the utility companies, BGE, and the other utility companies offer rebates on, not just for homeowners, but also for businesses. And so the payback for some of these improvements is speeded up because the utility company basically pays you a little bit of the money to put these things in the first. In lieu of the manual switches of using an occupancy sensor in classrooms.
What's it called? Optic sensor?
Occupancy sensor, motion sensor.
Oh, gotcha.
In a classroom, you would typically have them ceiling mounted. Studies have shown in classroom you can save up to 30% of your lighting consumption because classrooms tend to be intermittently occupied. Another recommendation, also above the file cabinet here, this is the temperature. This is just a temperature sensor for the room. There's no thermostat. The school currently does not have individual thermostat controls in the classroom, so the temperature is set down in the boiler room, and everybody gets the same amount of heat. Obviously, some classrooms are going to be too hot, not
because it's not balanced.
Well, because different sides of school, some face the sun, some don't, time of day. Some are going to have more students and some have less students, and all those factors. It's ideal to have individual thermostats in the classrooms. That way the teacher can set it where it's appropriate. They don't need to open the windows during the winter because it's too hot.
Can they be remotely monitored and operated? In other words, the sensor would be here, but it would send the message to whatever section that distributes the heat on this side. And we don't need it in this classroom here.
Yes. Yes. You could have an energy management system. Again, there's a cost associated with that. But yes, you can control them remotely. But even beyond the remote control, having the individual, just having someone be able just to manually change it would be a big improvement. In the evenings, the blinds should be pulled down because they do act as an insulating barrier. So that'll, whether it's during the winter, keeping the cold out, or during the summer, keeping the warm air out, the blinds should be engaged as much as possible when they really don't need too much light, overhead light. You may not need to use the same number of lamps in your replacement system. So instead of replacing 3 or 4 lamps, only put 2 back in there and save 33% on that because the light isn't needed. It was overlit originally, especially when you factor in daylight. When there's no one in the room, this unit ventilator is off, code doesn't require there to be outside air. The rest of the building that doesn't have these unit ventilators get the outside air. There's these big fans on the roof. By code, they just need to operate when there are people in the building. So at night and weekends, there's no one in the building, they don't need to run. But at this point, they run continuously. So you could put a time clock on them, some type of control to shut them down at night on the weekend. Light bulb in there, those are incandescent type lamps. Replacing them with LED lamps can save a lot of energy, and actually the utility company has incentives that are oriented around that. For freezer units, because these doors are open so much during the day, those lights are on for a fair amount of time. So switching out freezer lamps to LED type lamps is a good application. Water is chilled. There's a compressor in here that chills this water. You can see it's plugged into the wall here. That chiller runs 24/7 all during the week. Obviously, during the night, during weekends, people aren't here to drink water. There is basically it's called an energy miser. It's a timer type device that you can plug these things into. Basically put this on a schedule so that it will shut down automatically in the evening and weekends. Save electricity there. Same thing with vending machines. There's several vending machines here in the school. You don't need to chill the soda all night and have it come back on at 5 a.m. or whatever, the soda will be chilled. This hood here isn't used for anything anymore. There's no cooking equipment here. A lot of times when there's old equipment like this that's abandoned per se, you can get backdraft of cold air or warm air coming into the roof. I've been up on the roof. The vent, it's just terminated up there. What really should happen is this thing should be disconnected and an actual physical cap put over the ventilation fan on the roof. Therefore, there's no chance of any cold or hot air backdrafting down through. You want to disconnect it so you don't want somebody to turn it on by mistake. The school building, the hot water heaters back there are powered by natural gas. These are oil boilers. There is gas for there. My recommendation would be if we're using gas, convert these boilers into gas boilers. Gas costs per unit of energy is less than oil. A lot of times, one of the hurdles with switching over to gas is if there's not gas in the building, it's expensive to get the gas straight in. But there's already gas in this building, so a lot of that cost is already there absorbed. Now, because these boilers aren't really old, they probably have another 10 years worth of good life out of them. There is an amount of expense by switching the boilers out, but if there could be energy savings by switching to gas.